How's it going, Admiral Army? It's Addy here, and today I figured it was the perfect time to get a few things straight. It is time for the left and the right to finally realize who the true enemies are and to start focusing on that instead of focusing on fighting each other. There are too many times when you're on Twitter and you're hit with just the dumbest response of all time, people posting the dumbest things of all time because they don't have time to actually elaborate on an argument. Like, I remember I was on Twitter commenting on something Rudy Giuliani had posted, and someone responded to me with a picture of him leaking from his tan line, and that is a valid argument in the political sphere nowadays, and it just doesn't make sense. That's not a political argument, that's just the way a guy looks. And I have no qualm with the way that a guy spray tans himself. Not something I would do. I think it's weird, but I'm weird myself. I talk to a camera on YouTube, so clearly there is some disconnects in the political sphere of today's times. So I figured it would be the perfect time to actually come up with some solutions to these problems in order to realize who the actual enemies are. Enemies, we'll use it lightly so that I don't get blasted off the internet, so that we can realize who these people actually are. Now let us first start this journey off with Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. Yes, those are our top representatives. They are some of the top brass within our Congress. And how do they represent you? I know Mitch McConnell doesn't represent me at all. That dude is the furthest thing from someone I would imagine as someone with integrity and dignity and honor. And Nancy Pelosi, she is literally the Emperor Palpatine of the court. She comes in there, sucks the life force out of everyone in there. Does she represent you? I'd hope not. She's crazy. And yet they are the ones elected to represent us as we fight about spray tans and who does this better and who does that. It makes no sense. This snapback culture makes no sense. It's not fit for political discord at all. And I think that's sort of part of the plan, because the more that we squabble with each other, the more that we argue with one another, the more power that they get, the more Nancy Pelosi's that get elected, because we're not paying attention. We just vote Democrat or Republican. The more Mitch McConnell's that get elected because we vote Republican instead. How about instead we start focusing in on who will get changes done that we think are actually purposeful? We have a 5,500-page omnibus that was passed. Can you name me one thing from that 5,500 pages that you were like, wow, that's awesome. Thank you, Congress. I appreciate that. Not a single thing in that is for the American people. 5,500 pages of nothingness. You would have a better time reading. Literally, the Berenstein Bears would give you a better comprehension of the government and would provide you with further knowledge on what's happening than this omnibus bill. It makes no sense. And yet these are the people we elect to represent us, the American people. No. I am tired of it. I'm tired of Twitter and Facebook limiting what we can see, what we can know, what we can hear. It makes no sense. Remember a time back in the day when people were against the billionaires? No one wanted these billionaires to control everything in the market, right? Yet now, it's okay. They can censor who they want. I would like Mark Zuckerberg to decide who I can see, because if I disagree with them, that's fine. Get rid of them. Until it happens to me, then we have a problem, a serious problem. That's the political sphere nowadays, and I'm tired of it. Because as a conservative, I can assure you that there are few things that I want to impose on people. Actually, there's pretty much nothing I want to impose on people. I just want to be left alone, man. I live in a place where you run the risk of dehydration, maybe even getting eaten by a coyote if you try and walk to your neighbor's house and ask for sugar. And I understand that there's a divide between someone like myself and someone who lives in the city where there are people on top of people, and you have a different view on life. You have a different sort of preset value in what you would like to accomplish. You think that maybe providing for those who have less is something valuable to you. Well, around me, there's everyone, it's on your own. You're out there, you're a man for yourself. You know, you got to know how to survive. Maybe cut down some trees in the backyard, build a little log cabin. That's where I come from. And people need to realize that that is where the true divide occurs, and that there are just gonna be differences between human beings. sending someone a reply about someone's appearance, and even someone like AOC saying that my party is the party of Nazi Hitler, fascist, racist Nazi men. I'm out here living by my own, man. I think I'm a weird enough person as it is. I'm not out here trying to decide how good someone else is based on anything besides what they actually bring to the table. I'm not looking at someone's skin and thinking, look out. No, that is the furthest thing from my mind. I have so many different qualms with my own different facets that there's no reason for me to judge someone else based on their appearance. And I'm sure that that is how many people on the right feel. And I'm sure that that's how many people on the left feel, yet the voices that are sort of provocated throughout Twitter and Facebook are the ones that are the craziest. The looniest person is the one who gets the most likes, the most retweets, because that's what's promoted. You saying something standard like, well, I agree with someone on the left or I agree with someone on the right, but I think that there are some differences here and there. That's just going to get sent to the shadow realm. No one's going to see that at all, and that is exactly the problem. I truly believe that the reason that the higher up elites, they do this to divide us, because then we can't focus on the actual problems. We can't see what they are throwing before us. We can't see Gavin Newsom eating at a $700 per person restaurant while he tells you to stay at home. We don't see that because, well, he's on our side, so everything's fine over here. They're trying to hide that by dividing us instead, when we are the American people. The populist left and the populist right have so many things in common that we could get behind and stand together on and actually make a meaningful impact on the American society, that I guarantee the incumbents of Congress who have been there for 50 years, who were back then with the dinosaurs, they were living there rounding them up. These people don't represent us anymore, and they're scared of what the populist movement can actually do. So they decide, well, let's pit them against each other so that they have no time to worry about the dumb things we're passing. This 5,500-page omnibus, let's hope no one reads this thing. It is sacred. Let's throw it in the trash right now. That's what they're trying to do to us instead. And that is exactly why society is falling apart. People are yelling at each other. I open Twitter. It literally is just, you know that book, I think it's in Harry Potter, where he opens it and it's this face yelling back into him? That's Twitter. When you open up Twitter, you look at one post, everyone in the comments yelling at you, yelling at the other side. That's all it is. They have 140 characters, so let's make it worth it. This person's trying to kill me. What can I do? This Nazi Hitler, what do I do? That's all that it is, and it needs to stop. It needs to stop so that we can actually once more cohere as a society and learn what is truly valuable for America. You know who's kicking back and laughing right now? Xi Jinping. That man is having the time of his life. He's probably looking at Taiwan right now, calculating his plan. When do I take it over? When do I oppress these people furthermore? When do I take over Hong Kong? We're America. We're the ones who are supposed to stop that. We are supposed to stop the bad guys. We all may think differently, but that doesn't make the other side a bad guy. And it really has been polarized to that extent. And I know that I have had some questionable content in the past, but I'm looking into the future with more. I'm looking to create more of a uniting message rather than some things I may have espoused in the past. I think that's a word. I don't know. Look it up. Maybe don't. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I think that's what a lot of people should do as well. Look for a way to provide for yourself, your family, your close friends, and rely on the government less, because name one thing the government has done for you that's positive. They don't do anything for us. Literally nothing. Because we have so many incumbents, so many people who just live off of the government dollar just to go into Congress and say, well, this is a Democratic bill. Okay, I'll vote for Democrat since I'm a Democrat. Or this is a Republican bill. I'll vote for Republican since I'm a Republican. And that's not what we want. That's not what we need. We need people who are in there actually using their brain and thinking, well, this sounds like an actual viable plan for our future. Okay, I'll vote for this or I'll vote for that. that is what we need. We don't need people sitting there living their life of luxury as if nothing is wrong in the society, meanwhile doing absolutely nothing to help the people who are actually struggling. And it is so difficult to find people like that. I think in Vermont or something, because people just voted Republican down ticket, you ended up with some Satanist, I don't even know what other words to describe him as, where people were like, oh no, I did not realize I voted for this, and he ended up not even getting his position because people just voted down ticket Republican. That's not what we need for society. A valid thing to do would be to look into both sides of who you are picking as your representative. You may have to vote for the other side and realize, well, they may not bring the values to the table that I want. However, they will provide valid arguments, even if it is for the other side, and will fight for something. Otherwise, you get Mitch McConnell, the slug man himself with no spine, going in there and going, Nancy Pelosi, please, we can't do this again. I don't want to vote for this. And then she'll be like, ah! And suck all of his life force away. And then he'll eventually cave, and we end up with just the worst bill ever that makes no sense for society at all. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. We get the dumbest stuff imposed on us because they think that's what we want. They're like, how do I make people happy, yet at the same time give myself the most advantageous point of all time? How do I send money to this organization that no one's heard of before so that I can launder it back to me? I have a little percentage in the company. Hopefully no one looks into that. It was a part of the 5,500 page omnibus, but don't look into that at all. That's exactly their game plan. It's not about how do I help the American people. It's about how do I get myself the most money in return and make it seem like I'm doing something good for the American people. That is their entire game plan. And it's time for a change. It's time to stop looking at Twitter and Facebook for the almighty knowledge to learn what is true in politics, because they have their own political they have their own political leaning, let's call it. Either way, and whether you think that's correct or not, it still shouldn't be something that's prevalent in their app. It shouldn't be one way or the other. It should just be a fair game for everyone. It should be a safe and fair society for everyone. That is the community square where everyone goes to talk, and it shouldn't have any leaning either way, but yet it does. And that's something that truly needs to be called to question. That's what our fight should be for, because one day you may find that you are the one on the opposing side of that wall. If you're not politically correct or not enough, then you will find yourself banned. And then it may not feel so good because it'll be too late. And that's something we truly need to discuss as a society. But before that, they would love to just make it so that we fight each other to the death instead of them having to do it for us, because they think they know what's right for us. And it's truly disgusting. And that's where we need to focus our efforts towards, rather than each other. So let us all come together and find a unifying message under all of this chaos, under all of this craziness, so that we can actually build a great America, one that we all agree with and one that we all find cohesive. Because if you live in a city like New York, and you're trying to ban guns, it might make sense. I've seen the Twitch videos, the guy's sitting there drunk, playing with his handgun, blasts his G Fuel can, and goes right into the next room next to him. And that makes sense why. Yeah, maybe when you're so closely compact, you may not need a gun like that. But where I live, as I said before, you run the risk of getting eaten by a coyote when you're walking to your neighbor's house asking them for sugar. So you may need guns. And that's something that we need to discuss as a society rather than having these people discuss it for us, because they live in the biggest bubble of all time. Actually, it's the most exclusive bubble of all time where they know what's right for society and you don't. So just listen to them, shall you? And I'm tired of it. And I hope that everyone else is tired of that too, because there are a lot more pressing matters to focus on. Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, we're coming for you, right? And that'll be it for this one. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.